Dan Brown's thriller, The Inferno, was published a few years back, and most of the story is based here in Florence. So is there a better place to review that book right here in the Piazza della Signori, overlooking the Palazzo Vecchio? Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Harry's Book Cafe. Today we're going to review Dan Brown's thriller Inferno. As you can see, that's the Palazzo Vecchio. Vast majority of the story is based inside that castle, that palace there. So you might have already watched the movie, because it was made into a movie together with the Da Vinci Code. It's the fourth installment of the Da Vinci Code series. I believe there are 5 in total. It's a very interesting book. So a little bit about the story. So the professor Langdon, he wake up in the middle of a hospital bed without knowing what's going on or how he actually ended up there. He lost the previous 2 days' memory, and then the next moment he knows a paid assassin crashed into the door and wants to kill him. So that's the basic first chapter of the story, which is very, very interesting. Then he starts to run. It's a little bit, it reminds me a little bit of Bourne Identity, as people wants to kill him and he doesn't have a clue why or who he was. So it's a very similar sort of theme here. That's basically the beginning of the story. So on the run with him was a British doctor, Dr. Brooke. She has a rather interesting backstory attached with her, and together they run for their lives. And also they're trying to solve the problem, or the puzzle rather, why he was being chased and what was happening. So in the beginning he was thinking maybe he killed someone, and he then called the American embassy, and then the American embassy sent an assassin. So he realized that his own government wants him dead. So very, very interesting story. Then the puzzles start to click together step by step, which led him into that palace right behind me there. And that statue to my right is the David by Michelangelo, which was described a little bit in the book itself. That, by the way, is a replica. The real one is not here. So that basically led them to the Palazzo Vecchio right behind me, where they discovered quite interesting clues to the puzzle, which then led to Dante's masks. Dante, by the way, also features very, very heavily in the book. In fact, he's almost a character in his own right. Dante's Inferno, coming from the Divine Comedy, was the essential part of the story. So I don't want to give too much of the story away, just in case you haven't read it yet or haven't seen the movie. Both are really, really good. The story is quite long. The chapters are incredibly short. You're looking at 3 full pages per chapter, so it's a very interesting structure, and you don't feel tired because of that structure, so you easily can take a break whenever you want, and the language is very easy. The few negative side is that there were quite a lot of descriptions of the surroundings. So for instance, the Palazzo Vecchio, which is just behind me, was described quite extensively, and also the artwork inside, and also the locations and different attractions within Florence was described with incredible details and history. I mean, that is good if it's a Lonely Planet book, but here, when I'm reading this thriller, I find that it slows me down a little bit, and there are many things and words I don't understand that I have to Google and to find out the relevance to it. Having said that, I don't know from his perspective, if he wants you, the reader, to really immerse in the story, I don't know how else he can do it. So criticism aside, if I were in his shoe, I don't know how I can lighten the load, if you know what I mean. I don't quite know. The other thing about it that I slightly dislike is there are so many twists and turns in the books, which is all good, but many of them are completely unnecessary. It just feels a little bit contrived, you know. It doesn't feel spontaneous. It feels like that the writer wants to shock you with all these twists and turns. And the ending, to be perfectly honest, I did not like the ending, and I did not like it at all. And I don't like Dr. Brooke, there's a huge surprise to it, and you just think, I don't know, man. I don't think that's believable or necessary. But the book itself is quite interesting. I compare that to the Da Vinci Code, which is his third or second Da Vinci Code series. That book was amazing. It grips you from beginning to the end. I can't remember if there were, I'm sure there were quite lots of historical and sort of writings, background, introduction, stuff like that. But I don't feel reading that, I didn't remember being laborious about reading those facts, whereas here I do. And it doesn't, so this particular book doesn't grip you as much as Da Vinci Code. But having said all that, the book is still really awesome. So if you haven't read it yet, please give it a try. Dan Brown is a great writer, and he's clearly knowledgeable when it comes to European art, especially Italian ones. So highly recommend it. You know, I've never been to Florence. This is my first time. Having read that book, I decided to come and check it out. And that Palazzo Vecchio took on a really more intense meaning to me, having read that book, because previously I know it's a palace, is Medici family's sort of government building. Beside that, I don't really know much, but having read that book, that just took on so much more texture and history and story. On the subject of that palace, Vecchio, the Maggio Faro's marriage portrait, at least the first part of the book, was also based here, even though she didn't really mention the name of the plateau, but it's very easy to discern that is this one behind me, and it's just incredible piece of art. I mean, if you think about it, the streets here, the buildings, that statue over there, I mean, these are the places where Da Vinci walked. And you think about it and you just think, wow, this is quite amazing. But anyway, back to the book. What do I think about it? It's fantastic. It's a solid 3.5 stars. As I said, it's not Da Vinci level, but it's also worth a read. So please give it a try, and give it a try for this channel as well. So please subscribe. And it really does help a new channel like mine with the YouTube algorithm, and that can really help me with more reviews like this in different locations where the book is based. So yeah, please guys, really appreciate it. But anyway, until next time, ciao.